The system needs to be able to hear you.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming on this rather toasty evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I would like to ask Adam Roche to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This meeting, we've already dedicated it down at the bottom of the hill. We dedicated the meeting to the celebrating the new Pomeroy plaque historic marker that marks our schoolhouse and town hall as being historic. So that was our dedication. You missed the cookies and the good cheer down there, but welcome up here. Rita, can we have the roll call, please?
Wendy Burton.
Here.
Julia Dakota.
Here.
Eric Hames is absent. Nathan LaVirtue.
Here.
Betty Secord.
Here.
Before we do anything else, I'm actually going to go out of order. We have Commissioner Adam Roche here, who is the Dutchess County Veterans, the Commissioner for Veterans Affairs, and I believe he might have something to do after this meeting. So I would like for him to do, we've invited him here to talk about the services that the county provides to our veterans. So Adam, I'll turn this over to you. And Victor, are you going to speak as well? And we also have Victor Zamilov here, who is one of the people we've met before who works with veterans at the Mental Health America organization in Dutchess County that we had the fundraiser for a few weeks ago at the pavilion. So, gentlemen, I turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you so much, everybody, and thank you so much for having me tonight. My name is Adam Roche. I'm the director for Dutchess County Division of Veteran Services. I just want to tell you a little bit about what we do in my office. We are located at 1335 Route 44, directly in Pleasant Valley, New York. We just moved into our new building about 2 years now. It's called the Dutchess County Veterans One Stop. It's an absolute beautiful building. We have every organization that has to do with veteran services in Dutchess County under one roof, hence the name the Veterans One Stop. We are right there with Mental Health of America, Dutchess County Veterans Programs. I can tell you right now firsthand of what we've seen literally the first week that we moved in. We had a homeless female vet. Town of Poughkeepsie Police found her at Greenville Park. It was sleeping in her car. Came in, brought her into my office. We got her involved. What my office does is submit claims. I'll tell you more about it, but we submitted a claim on her behalf. Walked her literally 30 feet down to Victor's office. Victor does the housing aspect. We got her housed right there, got her into a hotel. Got her a job with our vet employment program that is funded by the county as well. The housing program is funded by the county, and now she's thriving with a job, and now she has an apartment. So that's just one of the many stories that this building has produced, and there's so many more too. But to get down to what my office does, predominantly what we do is submit claims for veterans and their families. With the claim, we navigate the process through the VA, the VBA, actually, Veterans Benefit Administration. It's an absolutely very maze-like process. So every single one of our veteran service officers are accredited through the American Legion. We go through a week-long training process every single year for our accreditation. For our initial accreditation, it's a 2-week-long process. We are very skilled at our craft. We are very extremely well-versed at what we do. We some of the stuff that we do, we all have heard of Agent Orange. with the Vietnam veterans. What we do is, we determine that it is a Vietnam vet that was in country Vietnam, or a Navy veteran that was 14 nautical miles off the coast of Vietnam, Blue Water Navy it's called, and determine they have a presumptive condition, say it's prostate cancer, hyperthyroidism, kidney cancer, anything like that. And we submit the claim to the VBA on their behalf, and the claim comes back, and they'll get a very nice chunk of money that's tax-free for them. And for the families in that, it's called the DIC. If the veteran passes away because of one of those presumptive conditions, the family members come in and submit a dependent indemnity compensation claim, where they are entitled also for a nice chunk of change also for themselves too, to live on. Also with the PACT Act, we heard about that for the Iraq, Afghanistan veterans and Gulf War veterans. For the burn pits, that's a big one right now, coming in order. What I want to get from you guys and also everybody here is the number 845-486-2060 is our office number. If you are a veteran, or if you know a veteran, just have them give us a call, because there's so much out there that they have no idea that they qualify for. Just give us a call, please, and we'll walk them through the entire process. Literally, we will walk them through the process and determine their eligibility. We also have, it's called the Tom Sir Helen Fund. If you don't know, Tom Sir Helen is a Dutchess County veteran in 2018, walked across America for veteran suicide and veteran homelessness. County exec at the time, Mark Molinaro, came up with this fund, and it's a one-time use only. For a single vet, it's $750. A veteran independent, it's $1,500, and it's for, say, like you hear the Central Hudson bills right now that are just completely out of hand, or just any bill that a veteran comes across. A vehicle breaks down, a boiler breaks, or something like that, where they just can't afford it right now, something like that. They submit the form, and Dutchess County takes care of that for them. Like I said, it's a one-time use. That's something that the vets, they don't know about. So again, if anything you get out of here, just give us a call.
What's the number again?
845-486-2060. Is there any questions for me, for you, or anybody here, please? Yes, sir.
The facility in Pine Plains, is that a health facility?
Yes, the facility in Pine Plains is a VA health facility, yes.
Do you offer, do you offer internship opportunities, or for
We don't do interns in our office, just because of the fact it's a lot of DD-214s, the discharge with the social security number, so it's all very classified information on there.
Okay.
So
Is that a state facility, or is that a county facility?
that's a federal facility.
That's federal.
Yeah.
Do you interact with?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Is that per-
We do. We interact with the VA Health. That's a great question. I want to bring that up too. A lot of the times you hear really horrible things with the VA healthcare. And if there's a veteran in your community at all, or family members, anything like that, that has problems with the VA, tell them to call us also. We have direct lines to the the higher ups with that, so we can call them directly, get them the care that they deserve. Sorry.
I had a situation where we had a veteran in town who was in a lot of distress, and spent a lot of time in the summer walking
down
miles
44.
and miles and miles. And at one point, he was having hallucinations. I called the VA helpline. They were wonderful.
The 988.
The 988, and then I got the troopers to do a wellness visit. And they actually took him, I think it was to St. Francis, it doesn't matter. And the VA helpline, actually, their social worker was all set to talk to the hospital and get him to
Montrose.
to the, what's the hell?
Castle Point?
Castle Point.
Mhm.
And
And then
then the
from-
hospital released him, just like that. So would it have been more impactful if I'd called like to you guys instead of calling because you're local?
It's local, but it's the same protocol. They deem him, is he a danger to himself or others? That's what it comes down to. We are not clinical, and Mental Health of America, their program is not clinical. So what they would do is the same thing. They would bring them to either Mid-Hudson Regional, or they would bring them to Castle Point. But there has been times where they did try to do something like that, and we stood there and said, no, you're not releasing this person. And there's times where they tried to release them into homelessness where that's not happening. I'm sorry. Not on our watch when they're there. So
It just was awful because I thought
it's passing the buck is what it is, and then that's just it's. Unfortunately, we do see stories like that too. But if that ever happens, you give me a call directly, please. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
You guys got questions at all? Jody?
No, I do not.
Now I want to introduce Victor with the Mental Health America Veterans Programs.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this. Thank you.
I put my cards on you.
Yes, thank you.
Some of you know me from the last couple of years.
All our stuff is right out front there.
Yeah, all the literature, materials. First, thank you to the town and to the organization that sponsored that day last week.
Oh,
It was
gosh.
the week before last.
It was the June 1st. June 1st.
Yeah.
The morning of June 1st.
We do so many events, tabling, and as Chris met us up at Hidden Hollow Farms over the weekend, rain in the morning, but the sun came out. So I'm going to explain what our organization is. So most of us know us incorrectly as Vet to Vet. Vet to Vet is 1 out of 4 programs, and he was responsible for a lot of the Vet to Vet before he started working as a VSO, and then he went next door. So Mental Health America was given that building, and they put the one stop, and Adam shares that. So in my part of the building, there are 4 programs. The first one is Vet to Vet, and that is a peer mentor support, general support for veterans and their families. Their families are not left out. So whatever the miscellaneous needs are falls under Vet to Vet. Then there is Vet Tap, and that's the employment end of it. So we try to find jobs for people. We have a database, and most of our jobs may be money involved, but also resource heavy. Because if we can't help you, we look for resources. And we spend so much time in the community trying to connect with other organizations. Resume building, we'll even try to help you dress to go for a job interview. That program is so underutilized, it's incredible. Young people don't want to come into us to get jobs. But we have 60, 70, 80, 90-year-olds that walk in your door and they say, I want a job. So, and we try to find them. That's the other one. So I work in the 3 programs. I work housing, employment, and also Vet to Vet. So I'm a little bit of everything. So the next one is the HERO program, and that's housing. Anything to do with housing. You're in arrears for your rent. You're in arrears for your electrical. If we have the money in our budget, we try to help you. As Adam already said, Central Hudson has programs where they can reduce the bill and they help them with paying. We have a lot of people that come in with food insecurity. We have a food pantry. We have a clothing room. We only accept, unfortunately, new clothing. We don't have the room, and then someone bring in contaminated clothing, it could wipe the whole office out. The food, we belong to the Dutchess County Food Bank, that we pay for food. There's food that's given to us, and then people donate. Like, I think this past thing was geared to food. So we use the money that you raised for us is going to be for food.
Great.
So we do dry goods, pasta, peanut butter, jelly, canned goods. And then last year, UPS did a food drive, and they bought us two freezers, two cabinet freezers. So now we load them. Someone in Pleasant Valley, do you remember his name? Donates, I think he gave us $5,000 for food. And he had delivered 40 TV dinners. And some of our people that have no money, and they come in there once a week, and they load up. So a couple of, I experimented on one TV dinner. It was a barbecue chicken.
TV dinner.
Not when I was a kid, it was a big thing and it was excellent. Today, they love it. So we buy more. So there are frozen hamburgers and hot dogs. So we do that. Our last program, so that's the three, the employment, the housing, the general. And by the way, all of us that work there, except the administrator in the office, are vets. So it is truly, like Adam, vets helping vets. The last program is called Staff Sergeant Fox, and it was brought on by a sister of a veteran that committed suicide. So that is not 988. It is a suicide prevention and awareness program. If you come into us and you're depressed or you're anxious, if you say to us, I'm going to commit suicide or I'm feeling suicidal, we pick the phone up and we get them either to St. Francis. I still call it St. Francis. And they have to go and have care. So it goes past us. If they're general anxiety and depression, and as Adam said, we're not therapists, but we are counselors specially trained to identify things. So they can be part of our program, and through a number of therapies, this weekend, it was considered a therapy up at Hidden Hollow, where they were introduced to horses, and it's Melissa Lawler is the county person that's in charge of behavioral health for first responders. She just got a new position. That's the name I was trying to get. And she's a Pleasant Valley midwife. So she was up there with Chris. Introduced the horses. They had everything to do with horses. I was relegated to the grill, so I had to feed them.
I thought you were going to say to the shovel.
Well, the day before, we had an event at 13 Hands down the road, and that was a fundraiser for them, but we're a big supporter, and we bring veterans there once a month. We may have a bunch of veterans to interact with the horses. There was one guy that when I brought him last year, he said, I don't want to touch him. That was at the beginning of the day. By the end of the day, the head of the farm had him cleaning the bottom of his the hoofs and brushing him.
Wow.
And he was like one with the horse. So that was just seeing that one. So that program, as I said, was brought on because of Staff Sergeant Fox. And that is a federally funded program. The other programs are the county, and that is suicide prevention, again, and awareness. So you come in, they go into a different program. They use the Columbia Protocol to ask the questions to see if the right fit is there. If not, it comes to one of our programs. So we do a lot under the roof of 4. Like I said, we wish more young people, number one, would come into Adam's office to register. If you're not in his registry, there's no way of getting in touch with you, and the government is constantly adding different conditions and injuries to the list of benefits. So we definitely have a symbiotic relationship. When someone comes into him, even if we're in the middle of something, boop, they come through the door, they take the tour, and if they need something, they sit with us. When they're done with us, boop, we bring them right next door to Adam before they leave. And our numbers, since Adam moved out of the old Poughkeepsie Journal building, your numbers have gone through the roof. So have ours. We used to be on the highway off of Raymond Avenue, where other MHA programs are. But now, MHA veterans programs, that's it, in that building. So we do a lot. And we were saying about the older people coming in for the jobs, but unfortunately, there are limits. So I know I said a lot. I hope I didn't miss anything, Adam. Any questions here? So you have a veteran family, a neighbor, definitely bring them into Adam's office, bring them into ours just to see what's available, the food pantry. And we were aware of that veteran that you had when we were, because they talked about it. You did the right things. You couldn't have done anything different. Unfortunately, unless they're arrested under mental health and the doctor deems they're a harm, they can be released or they can leave on their own, as long as the doctor says so. Yeah, and 988 is the number. That's the crisis line, not just for veterans. You have to dial 1, you press 1 for veterans. Anyone else, civilians, anyone in a mental health crisis in your community, before you call the police or before you call EMS, 988, then you call 911. So, and 911 is there, they have us as resources. We go out at night, we get phone calls. Adam called me one night that there was a veteran in the town of Poughkeepsie, and he was dead set in drowning himself in the creek. And I went out and I represent all the programs, and I don't think it was 11 or 12. The town of Poughkeepsie was involved. It was very low key, and they found him. For the dogs and the drones. And then he came out. And he said to me, if you didn't find me tonight, you would have found me tomorrow. So that was a save.
Yeah.
And that's just one of many. We pick up homeless veterans that are walking the street like that, or they're outside of a hotel and they have no money. We temporarily house them if we can. If they're really bad, they go to the stabilization center, part of Dutchess County, for 24 hours. And then, unfortunately, if they have no money, the males go to the pods through DSS. They can't go directly. And the pods is the homeless shelter. The females, after DSS handles them, they're put in hotels in the area with their kids. So, unfortunately, the males, when there's a veteran, we get involved. And MHA handles the mental health parts of all the community. And then, so we are 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, we can get a phone call, I have this or that, you know. And when you see veterans on the street, especially the ones that have signs that are panhandling, you know, please call us. We come out, we identify, make sure they're a vet, because there are some that are on Route 9. If they don't come over to you, their First Amendment right allows them to be there. But once they come over to you and ask for money, then they're breaking the law. So if they're a vet, we want to get them out of the street, because it looks bad for the community, for us, you know, and we have the resources. So, anybody else? Questions? Nothing?
So you guys are all in the building on 44?
Yes.
See, we pass by the MHA
Yep.
building all the time. That's all of you guys.
Yep. Adam has his office is the first door, and then there's some offices that are private, not to do with veterans as an organization, that's a club. And then Adam's office, and then he has all the people that work for him. And then our office is the next door, and then with that is the food pantry in the closet.
Okay. What can we, I mean, clearly what we can do as a community is donate, right?
Donate,
Word out,
yes.
Right, we can get the word out. So that we
Yeah.
can get from, we'll get that phone number, and we can put that in.
Yeah, it's in the card.
Brochures are right out.
Our materials out there.
Great.
That's our veterans.
Yeah, you got everything, we gave it out.
Yeah. And then what can the community do? Like you said, donate food, money.
No clothing though. But
Only new
specifically
clothing.
We-
New
we-
clothing.
I mean, new clothing, but I mean, for someone who's looking for employment,
Yes.
nobody's gonna go out and buy a suit for those people.
Then we use a resource. We'll call another organization, Dress for Success.
I am so fat, I can't fit. And the nice suits that I have and that I use for work, and I mean, you're not gonna take those though.
No.
We
Fortunately.
can't. We don't have enough
That's
room.
unfortunate.
No, there are organizations out there that do.
Cool.
Dress for Success.
Yeah.
They will. I don't know Barn again, but the churches, some of them will take them.
Cool.
Willow Roots
If
will
we
take
have
them.
unlimited space, we would take
Willow
them.
Roots up in
Oh,
Pine
yeah,
Plains.
Okay, good.
So yeah, clothes like that. But one thing we will take is toiletries, the bathroom things, toilet paper, paper towels, toothpaste, soap, underwear,
The basics.
brand new
All the
in
basics,
packages,
right.
male or female underwear. We will take adult diapers. We will take, because people are coming in for that.
I have one last question.
That's all right.
So as far as people who would be on the street, is there anybody working with you guys that will, that are trained to talk to people that are going to jump off a bridge? Do you have anybody helping you guys?
Oh, we connect, again, that's a resource.
Okay.
Like I said, if someone is,
Okay.
We're trained in
Awesome.
assist training and safe talk, all that.
so we can identify,
I've talked with myself.
Cool, thank you.
but if someone was threatening to the bridge,
Sure.
then we get 988, we get 911 involved. They're the ones first line.
Okay.
But we are to identify them. If we come on a situation like that, it's imminent danger to that person. Yes, we're there. We're the first contact. So, yeah, identifying is number one,
Great.
you know. And we use resources.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you. And thank you again for the...
Thank you for everything you do.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
You
Thank
too. Well, Jody, I feel like I should give you parody. If you, you can, if you want to sit here and watch us work for a little while, that's fine. If you want to jump in and do your presentation, that's fine too.
Do you have anybody that's got a time commitment?
No, the rest of us are just stuck here.
It's all about you.
Hi, everybody. So we just need a minute to get this.
Oh, yeah, I guess you need that screen in the, out of the way, or the... Huh?
Jane, do you need help?
No.
We're just figuring out the choreography. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's space.
I thought Jane was going to do an interpretive dance.
She does sometimes. Janie, we thought you were getting ready for an interpretive dance up there.
You never know.
I know. I'm well aware.
Arms akimbo.
Didn't work.
Get out of the way. Please. There we go.
Somebody turn the lights off, please.
I tried. I know. Yeah, there we go.
Fabulous.
Should we close that shade too? Anthony?
You can see it. I think
Is that
it's okay.
All right.
So, thank you for having us. I'm Jody Miller. I'm with the Dutchess County Commission on Human Rights. And I'm here with my colleagues, Tracy and Gwen, who will introduce themselves as well. And the purpose of tonight's visit is really to introduce the commission, our work, and it's something that we're doing. We've been doing this for multiple years with all towns, villages throughout the county, to develop a close relationship with the local municipalities, discuss current issues and how we assist. So just a brief overview of our history. The Commission on Human Rights here in Dutchess County has actually a very long history. It was originally established in 1984 under County Executive Lucille Pattison. May she rest in peace. And it was reestablished by our previous County Executive, Mark Molinaro, in 2016 after there had been a hiatus. We have 14 volunteer commission members who are appointed by the County Executive and the Chairman of the Legislature and then confirmed by the Legislature. Those volunteers, they serve 3-year terms, and they can serve a couple of those 3-year terms. Typically, we have a list of our members here, and we'll be welcoming new members as of October 1st. We're currently every year we go through a process where people can apply to serve on the commission. Essentially, our mission is defending human rights, bridging differences, and embracing diversity. And it's really important we always want to be clear what our purpose is, what we do and what we don't do, because we get that question a lot. We work to foster mutual respect and understanding among groups throughout the county, educating the county's communities on issues of human rights, addressing discriminatory practices and tension and conflict. And I'm going to turn it over to Gwen in just a second. She's going to come up. But one of the things that has happened, even though we're listed as human rights, we get calls for literally every type of issue. And listening to Adam and his colleague tonight and housing, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the calls that we get about housing, because as you know, we're in a crisis. It's beyond a crisis. We need an abundance of housing. I'm off script a bit, but we're going to get back to that in just a minute. Come on over. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the calls that have come into us for people looking for help with respect to housing or food insecurity or other kinds of issues that they're facing, and how we address that. Turn it over to Gwen.
Good evening. I'm Gwen Higgins, a former resident of Stanfordville, Pine Plains, Millbrook, Millerton, Dover, and Amelia. I am a retired teacher. I taught at Spacking Hill for 37 years. Wow. I am a former member of the Bangor United Methodist Church. May it rest in peace, and not in pieces. And I know a few of people who are still in Stanfordville. I live in Pine Plains now, and I'm a member of the commission. This is my second year, going into third, Jody? I don't know, I've been there for a while. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about our purpose and what we do. One of the things that you should be aware of is that we organize and participate in community activities and events. The purpose is to build goodwill and form alliances to foster mutual respect and understanding among all groups. We develop programs to enhance inclusion and embrace diversity, acting as a bridge to other resources, including the New York State Division of Human Rights, is part of our demand. The Commission is not an investigative body and has no enforcement authority. Tracy, number 10. Yeah, okay. Our mission and purpose in action. Yeah.
And what did dance here with all of this stuff going on?
Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening. My name is Tracy Anderson. I've been a part of the commission for a little under a year. I reside in Pauling. I worked for Citigroup for 23 years. I literally just stepped away in March, so it's a huge change for me. I ran branches, retail branches. I helped grow several of their Citibank branches. What I do now is I work in Westchester County, and I'm an employment counselor. So I assist people with, from every walk of life, and, resume writing, interview skills, and I also hunt for jobs. And it's a passion of mine, really, to give back to my community and be able to help them. So thank you for having us tonight. It is an absolute pleasure for me to serve on the commission. So I know that we've talked a little bit about our our mission and what our purpose is. So over the past 6.5 years, the Commission has hosted a variety of collaborative educational programs and events that have been created in response to and requested by our community. And some of these include what we call 100 Cups of Coffee, which is a transformative dialogue project. 17 unique different topic sessions have been held and leave people feeling more connected and more engaged. The purpose of the 100 Cups of Coffee is to improve interaction and understand ourselves and each other, as well as increase community engagement. We've also done listening sessions held throughout the county, and this is to learn about the strengths and challenges community members face. In one session, which is one of the photos that we have here, we learned about the daily challenges the deaf and hard-hearing communities face. That's some of what we do.
Old age is not always your friend. Okay. We also address hate and bias. One of these pictures is the United Against Hate March. Also, we do the bystander intervention training, which is online. Reporting hate incidents and crimes, and co-creating responses with elected officials, law enforcement, clergy, and many others. In addressing hate and bias, the webinar series included doing more than nothing about hate and bias. That's the one over there. We work with law enforcement, police reform, and modernization, facilitating forums, serving on work groups, and a United Against Hate March with African American Clergy Association, All for One, Jewish Federation. And those are those slides. We also had a webinar called Hate Crime, What It Is and Is Not. There was a panel discussion with New York State Police, Dutchess County Sheriff, and Dutchess County District Attorney. We engage, oh, Tracy.
That's okay. That's all right. Thank you, Gwen. So we also engage with the youth. We've engaged in something called Pathways to Civic Engagement. Small Place, it was a conference called Small Places Close to Home. And it was for high school students who partnered with the FDR, Presidential Library and Museum, and Duchess Bosse's. The commission hosted a 100 Cups of Coffee dialogue session with students where they discussed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and I had the pleasure to attend that one. Also, the Dutchess County Youth Council panel discussion, an end-of-year showcase, which students interviewed. They had a chance to interview commission members and discuss their projects at the end-of-the-year showcase. Showing up for the Dutchess County community is important to us. Here are some of the events, which you'll see here, we've attended to show our support. And some of these events are Spirit of Beacon Community Day, Mid-Hudson Chinese Community Association Lunar New Year celebration, Forum for Spanish-speaking parents with children with disabilities, All for One, One for All Ramadan event, and Town of Stanford Community Day. So I'll have Gwen come back up to discuss our mission and purpose in action in 2024.
And here are some of the things that we did. The 100 Cups of Coffee dialogues are very popular as a commission project. Voice and Choice, which addresses hate and bias. And finally, town and village projects, such as this. Voice and Choice addresses hate and bias, working with communities to develop responses, hosting virtual bystander intervention trainings on topics such as Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, the LGBTQIA+ community, as well as supporting people with disabilities. We are always embracing diversity. A Wider View film speaker series including MLK Film with panel including Northern Dutchess NAACP, Dutchess County African American Clergy Association, and the Jewish Federation. Fair housing, what we all need to know, with New York State Division of Human Rights, Legal Services. The Legal Services of Hudson Valley, Office of the Attorney General, and Hudson Valley Justice Center. July, with the Brain and Body Coalition, is titled Mental Wealth in the BIPOC Community, Addressing Disparities and Achieving Wellness. That's coming up soon. More community and community events and days. Ramadan Solidarity event with Dr. Seema Rizvi. All for One, One for All. And that's pictured here, yes. And Korean Culture Day, Vassar College with Professor Pai Pai Kui.
Thanks, Gwen and Tracy. So this is pretty much an overview of some of the activities that the Commission has engaged in and created over the years since 2016, since we were re-established. We really try to listen to the community and respond within our mission and within our purpose to help in however we can. And sometimes that has to do with conflict resolution, sometimes that has to do with educational programs. And a couple of years ago, the Commission members wanted to learn more about housing, which was not really in our purview. Housing is a pretty big issue and it's complicated, and we don't build housing, so we weren't really sure what, but we wanted to learn more about it. We knew that it was a crisis. And I'm glad that we did, because we spent a couple of years learning from the housing professionals and understanding that we need an abundance of housing here in Dutchess County to address the problem. And that abundance of housing has to take a lot of different forms. From the low end, for people who have no income, as Adam and his colleague were talking about, veterans and other people who have very little income, to people, of course, in the middle. We know that this is squeezing people who are working in our communities. We actually have a people shortage here in Dutchess County as a result of a lot of things, but part of the reason that we're having some of this difficulty is because we have a people shortage, and unless we solve the housing crisis or begin to solve it more robustly, we're going to continue to have that people shortage, because if people don't have anywhere to live, they're not going to be able to come and teach in our schools, work in our stores, work in our businesses, be nurses and doctors in our hospitals, caregivers to our loved ones, both old and young, all people across the spectrum. We have to be much more creative and much more aggressive in solving this housing issue. And so there are lots of ways to do that. We don't have to recreate the wheel. And when they talk about, you know, again, this goes across the spectrum of income. When we talk about, Adam was so eloquent about veterans and being homeless, Right now, and his colleague talked about women with their children in hotels. That's one of the largest group of homeless families right now is women and children. And there just is very few places for people to go. And I mentioned that I was going to refer to some of the calls that we get. And just today, you know, talking to an older adult who had lived in a rented place for more than 10 years with an adult child living with them. A landlord has bought it. You've heard the story before. The price is going up. They have to go, and not being able to find anywhere to go. And they're not low, and the income is kind of middle income. So we're not even talking, you know, subsidized housing, which there isn't enough. But the people, we're having our population here in Dutchess County and across the country, in 5 years, more people are going to be 65 and over than we're going to have young people. People who want to stay here for their families or want their families to stay here can't do that because of the housing situation, right? People don't all want to go to Florida. People, right? Some are leaving to go to Connecticut. Some are leaving to go to New Jersey because the condos are being built there that are more affordable than what's here. So we have, I want to end with this. The Commission on Human Rights, we don't do housing, but we have a lot to say about housing because we hear it. People are contacting us and we're trying to hold their hand and help them through it and also take their message up and out because often this will fall to a local issue, right? Municipalities have a lot of power in what gets built or what gets created. So, with that, I'll stop there. I want to thank you for hearing us today, and if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them, or any of us can.
Does anyone have any questions?
Okay, and if not, you can.
Well, just, so I'm sorry.
There's a lot, right?
Don't be sorry.
I'm sorry.
Keep going.
So it sounds like a lot of what you guys do are sort of DEI, but not. Sort of a bigger, with a bigger picture or a larger umbrella over DEI. Do you guys work at all with like corporations and companies and schools to sort of do programs for the DEI programs, like diversity, equity, inclusion and stuff, or is it?
I wouldn't, I'd like to think of it, if we're going to talk about the commission in the context of DEI, we're about lifting the voices of the people who have something to say. We're not we don't do training per se on DEI.
Gotcha.
What I do like to do is a lot of presentations and discussions about kind of what's protected here in New York, how you can help your employees. Is it clear how your employees can ask for an accommodation at work, or how they can get an accommodation in their housing, or a public accommodation? So we partner with other groups doing the work, and we try to lift up voices wherever possible to support people. So that's kind of our way of amplifying voice. Amplifying voice and getting people's voices out there. Yeah.
You know, I think what's clear, looking at the veterans situation, looking at our current safety nets, our system requires you to completely fail before you get help. Mm-hmm. And I think if we could somehow make it okay to ask for help and be okay to actually help somebody on an official basis, we could really stop so much of the damage we're doing here. Our answers here are political. We need a kinder system, and we need something that's not so much pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and get it over with. We're here for each other, and I feel like the benefits of living in this country have gone to the top, and we used to be better.
Thank you. Yes.
How many vacancies are there on the commission? And if someone's interested, how would they apply?
Yes, we do accept applications on a rolling basis. They are on the Dutchess County website under Human Rights. There's an application box at the very bottom of our homepage. And then we enter into the process once a year. So people can apply all year, and then in in April, we start looking at all those applications, and then we start interviewing people in May. and then make our recommendations for in June. So that at the September legislature meeting, those appointees can be confirmed for an October 1st start date.
And it's a 3-year term?
3-year terms, and there are partial terms if people have to step down before their end of their term. And that decision is made by the appointing authorities. So if anybody needs to contact us, 486-2836, or you could go right to the website, just type in duchessny.gov, type in human rights, it'll bring you to our page. You can also send an email through there, our phone number's through there, so please reach out.
Jody, Gwen, Tracy, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Really thank you. It's going to be a hard act to follow.
Yeah, 2 hard acts to follow.
You did great, Jody. Great. All right, getting back to the more mundane. I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda. However, I have something to add, which is that I need to make a motion at some point to amend the abstract because Lauren forgot to get in her request for the petty cash to start.
Unacceptable.
Yes, important. So anyway, we can make that number, it looks like we can make it 12 because Rita went from 11 to 13.
Yeah, I didn't like number 12.
Okay, so that, we'll put that on purpose. Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
All right, so I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Thank
All
you.
in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's quickly go through our liaison reports. Teddy.
Yes. Sorry, I'm just pulling it up. So I have 4 committees to report on. In absence of Eric, I am reporting the planning board. Attended the May 29, 2024 planning board meeting. First item was for the property located at 168 Hobbs Lane. John Andrews presented to the board. This case involved a previously approved building envelope that needed reapproved signature by Chair Tom Angel. Dutchess County requested that a surveyor sign the plot plan, so a surveyor's signature was added to the plot plan. Chair Tom Angel then signed the revised plot plan. Second item was for a property on Ludlow Road, Stanfordville. Roran Rosenthal was presented for the Dutchess Land Conservancy to the board. The DLC would like to install a small parking lot for 8 cars and a kiosk for visitors to use when they come to the property to make sure of the walking trails. Make sure of the walking trails.
Which property, Teddy?
That is on Ludlow Road, the Dutchess Land Conservancy.
Is that the Bonnecue property? Yeah, I think so.
Yes, possibly. The DLC will install a rail fence with 3 rows. The trail kiosk will have a roof and will be 2-sided for the display of a map, notices, and information. The sign of the kiosk will be either 4 foot by 6 foot or 4 foot by 8 foot. The parking lot will not be paved so as to permit drainage. The board decided that no formal process was needed as this was a de minimis change. De minimis, thank you. Approval was granted. So get cozy. I have my I have my 3 reports to report on. So, the Climate Smart Communities Task Force, we are meeting June 17th at the town hall at, unless I am wrong, we decided at 7:30 p.m. We will have Zoom included for people who cannot physically make the meeting, but the membership will mostly be in attendance, sans one person. So there will be a link provided to the town website. We will be discussing, and before I move on, we are cementing the 3rd Monday at 7:30 p.m. as our official meeting date. So going forward, you can expect to find us here. We will be discussing the recording of our Climate Smart Community actions, what the town has done. We are going to be discussing any updates to the composting survey that is going to be going around very soon. We had a first draft and it looks pretty good. We are also going to be discussing very briefly Nathan Kimball's presentation on the greenhouse gas inventory and a small overview of climate vulnerability. It's related to FEMA, risk assessment relating to weather, various things like storms, hurricanes, etc. So that should be actually, those two things go hand in hand in some respects. So we will have a nice couple of presentations that night. Quick. The Haunted Fortress Subcommittee, they also met. We are starting work June 30th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and every Sunday following that will be a work date. You can come and do anything that we need help with. We have things like sweeping, cleaning, and painting, and the ideas for the scenes are mostly solidified. We have a couple of additions and plans to figure out, so later in the summer we will be working on those scenes. And then later in August we will be doing our advertisements. We have a thing going for the last 2 years with Radio Woodstock, and they're very kind to us. So they're our main advertising power, it seems. Finally, last night, the ZBA meeting was held here. There will be 2 public hearings happening on July 10th at 7:30 p.m. The first public hearing is regarding a Huns Lake property that is asking for a variance for setback relief. The owner of the property is asking for several feet to build a garage, and the property that he needs relief closer to is his own property. So there's 2 properties. Oh. I don't think that's going to be a huge matter of discussion. The second public hearing will be regarding a court remand relating to the legal dispute between the ZBA and the residents of Charwell Drive. The ZBA, after that, or actually before this, discussed and adopted several policies related to public hearings at their meetings, such as they will have a time limit on speakers. There will be a sign-in sheet, so when you come into the meeting, you sign in, you will be asked to present or have a question, and you are asked that your question or comment is relevant to the subject of the public hearing. So these are standard operating procedures that have been adopted by the ZBA. And
was there any conversation about the length? Because our public hearings are 4 or 5 minutes, and this, I believe, is 3 minutes.
Yes, I think they decided on, if I'm correct, 3 minutes per person. And you cannot defer time to another person. So as Pat put it, he doesn't want a continuation of War and Peace. So, it's standard operating procedure, but there are things they decided on. I don't have that list in front of me, so you can ask the ZBA, or they will go over at every public hearing they have about that. And those are all my updates.
I think I would like Chris Drago to give his report, because he has to go to Northeast for their, if you haven't missed it already.
That's great, thank you.
You're welcome.
So this is a county day. Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Drago. I'm your representative within the Dutchess County Legislature. For those of you who aren't aware, the Dutchess County Legislature, it's kind of like the House of Representatives for Dutchess County. There are 25 districts, and we're in District 19. We're actually the largest district at 170 square miles, from a couple streets in Red Hook all the way through to Millerton and Northeast.
Talking to the,
So just a couple of quick announcements. One, there's an Office for the Aging picnic for residents of the town of Stanford. It'll be at Stissing Mountain High School on July 17th. I just attended the one at the fairgrounds for Rhinebeck, Red Hook, and Milan. If you come, you will see me sing and dance to Sweet Caroline with other county officials at the front with our county executive, Sue Serino. So if that doesn't entice you to come, I don't know what will. Wearing just regular dress. Anthony, regular dress, Anthony.
He's not coming in.
Yeah. So that's on July 17th. Hope to see you there.
Also on July 15th, there is a public hearing to consider requests that property owners be included within the Dutchess County Certified Ag District. So there was a period where people asked if they could, they applied to be in the Ag District. That application period has come and gone. Now this public hearing will be to discuss those requests that are being made to be included in the Ag District. Also, there are some pieces of land that will be taken out of the Ag District. So this is a period of time where you can come and talk and plead your case, but also hear about others that might be in the Ag District going forward. So that's July 15th, and that's at the board meeting, the monthly board meeting of the county legislature down in Poughkeepsie. Other than that, I just want to say I toured the incinerator in Poughkeepsie recently, which I found very eye-opening, where the majority of the trash of the county of Dutchess is burned, anything that's not being recycled. We are a little different in the town of Stanford. We have a contract with Ulster County, so anything that goes in the transfer station in Stanford goes over to Ulster and actually gets shipped 250 miles into New York State and gets put into a landfill, which was actually new information for me as well. So anything you're putting in that it says household trash dumpster at the Stanford transfer station actually goes into a landfill. So this is a plug to put less into your bags, into that dumpster, less that then goes into the landfill. And I'm thrilled to hear that we're doing a composting survey, which is great. The county, we just had applications for $200,000 worth of composting grants. The due date was last Friday. Personally, I found the applications and what was required pretty restrictive. It was only for a $50,000 match program, so the town had to come up with $50,000. The county would match $50,000 to pay for an anaerobic digester, which is basically a big machine that you put food scraps in, and it turns into concentrate compost. Personally, we don't need that in our part of the county. A lot of us are doing composting in our backyards, which is great. But there are opportunities to do composting at scale. I then toured the McEnroe composting facility recently, which, if you haven't seen, is a really impressive facility over in Northeast. They have the capacity to take on thousands of more tons of food scraps, including meat, into their composting facility to turn into compost. So I'd love to talk, Teddy, to you and any others who are thinking of pursuing composting in the town following the survey, because I think there's a real opportunity here. The key is transport of food scraps. So if we have the ability to have a central repository for food scraps, say at the Stanford transfer station, finding a way on a weekly basis to get those over to McEnroe is one thing that we could certainly look at, and I'd love to talk more about that. But glad that that's in the works. I would just say it's Pride Month. I've had the opportunity to attend a number of Pride events across the county, especially kicking off with the one in Stanford, and it was a wonderful day, and I think many of you were there, and I hope you have a chance to celebrate Pride Month in any way that you should choose. And then lastly, stay tuned. There are a series of grants coming from New York State around accessory dwelling units. And for those towns who allow for accessory dwelling units, there will be the ability to apply for grants on behalf of households. Upwards of $125,000 per household can be awarded to build new accessory dwelling units or update or revise existing accessory dwelling units. We thought we missed the boat. Columbia County and Ulster County both received millions of dollars worth of grants because they were able to apply in past funding rounds. When I found this out, and I found out that the Duchess frankly missed the boat on this, I had a meeting with Senator Michelle Hinchy's office this week with some New York State housing folks, and they assured me there are actually $20 more million worth of grants available, and those RFPs will come out this fall. So Wendy and I have been speaking a bit, and we're going to just make sure that that our town is ready to go. If this is something we want to pursue, it can be done at a municipality level, or it can be done at the county level. So I would say I am going to push as hard as I can to have the county do this on behalf of multiple municipalities, but I don't want to count on that. So
What's
if this
the criteria Michelle's looking for? that her office is looking for in giving those grants?
So primarily, it's if the town allows for ADUs. So what they want to make sure is that if, the grants come, that, there wouldn't be pushback, say, from a planning board, or, that all of that has been sort of...
Well, we're introducing our new local law tonight. So.
Check the agenda.
Perfect. So that, that could be good timing. That could be great timing there.
Now, you said grants, correct? Not matching funds.
These are grants. These are $125,000 that can go out per household, and it's not that restrictive at all. So if you live... Correct.
But the household has to have a certain medium income or
That's
less.
right. Thank you for So it's for low and medium income households, and to encourage ADUs. So you could choose to live in your ADU and rent out your house. So it's so it's fairly loose in terms of what's being offered. So more to come, but I'm just pleased that there's still an opportunity to take advantage of these grants. ADUs are really the first step in having something that's more affordable, especially in rural Dutchess County, for housing. And as we've heard tonight, and we all know how expensive housing is for all of us. I think that's all. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for the time, and I'm always available if you need anything.
I'm sorry, am I allowed to ask a question?
Absolutely not.
The recycling at the transfer station, is that also going into landfills, or is that actually going
That's
into...
getting processed, but we have a contract with Ulster County, so because we're so far away from the southern part of the county, it just makes more sense for us to contract with Ulster. So everything is going over there, and then they're sorting those.
Okay, but they are sorting there.
Absolutely.
Okay, just checking.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Nathan.
Excuse me. The swab shed is in at the transfer station. It's already being used. So that's the transfer station update.
We're having signs made because there was some early abuse, and the custodians were unhappy that people were just dropping stuff there without checking in. So we're having signs made, and the deal is you have to check with the custodians to see if they believe someone will actually want your stuff, and you're not just...
So it's like anything else going to the transfer station, they'll tell you where to put it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're telling you whether your stuff is useful or not.
But people were dropping off old printers, and also that we're going to have a new gate put in down there because it really doesn't lock, which is a real problem. So people were just bringing stuff in. So we're gonna the guys really want to clamp down and make sure it just doesn't become more stuff that the town has to pay to get rid of.
Right.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. The reason I mentioned that too is that with the other report with the Recreation Commission is that they actually are going to go down there once a week and look in the shed and see if there's anything that's sports related. So they'll grab any of that stuff and they'll use it for the rec. Okay. They had their meeting last night. The biggest thing is the grand opening of the playground on June 26th. It's from 4 to 6 p.m. Food, drink, music. Everyone should come. Hopefully it's a nice weather day. Even if it's not, you should come. As far as some of the other updates, they're still doing some of the summer scheduling. They're not opening up for a couple weeks. They did have their first recipe for kids last night, so that was packed. There's still all the other ones are packed, but I've heard through the grapevine that there might be still 1 or 2 slots open if there's a child that wants to go. Yeah, and they're planning to be at Community Day. They just don't know what they're going to do yet. And then the last one.
And the pond opens on the 21st?
21st.
Yeah. Yes.
June 21st.
Yeah, they've got the docks already in.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And they just got it tested the other day.
Yep. The last thing is not for the recreation. It's not really something that I'm really a liaison for, but it's something that I can update everyone on is I haven't really shut the door on the Route 82 conversation yet. So I followed up on the letter because I wasn't terribly enthusiastic with the response, and so I called the office and I said, to be fairly, I wasn't terribly blunt with them, but I could have been, but I was kind of like, 2/3 of your letter was basically explaining how a pothole was made. which wasn't terribly insightful, and it's not something that I can really share with the community. So effectively where the conversation went is that the regional deputy director is going to be here next Friday at 1 p.m. to meet with me. We're going to go look at Route 82 together. I have been informed that there are 4 classification colors that they use for county roads. So they have green, light green, yellow, and red. And red is the worst, it's in dire need. All of 82 that I described, which was from basically Troop K into Pine Plains, all of it is yellow, and there's about half a dozen to a dozen spots that are red. And so one of the questions I have for them, at what point, well, how much red do we need to see before we need to go and get a capital project to actually do this? So I'm hoping to get some more answers and insight from this individual next Friday. Chris neglected to mention, but he might be in attendance as well. So we're going to start our conversation here next Friday at 1.
That's great, David.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. That's it.
Cool.
CAC?
Yeah.
So CAC is meeting next week, so these are from May. First talked about the playground and a little concern on miscellaneous screws being there. So they're going to look, someone has a metal detector and they're going to find the screws. They had a cleanup of the Lovett Preserve yesterday, which was rescheduled from the week before. And there will be a tour of Montague Preserve on June 24th at 5:30 p.m. With the DLC for anyone that wants to go. And that will be to ostensibly check out this area where there will be gates and signage and things like that. I think there's also a DLC luncheon at the Montague Preserve in October, but I will, anyway, that'll be more. The NRI, there'll be an update at the June meeting, which I mentioned is actually not next week, sorry, it was moved to the 26th because of Juneteenth. And then they did attend the Zoning Commission meeting on May 16th with the Dutchess County Health.
They did.
And that is it.
Okay.
On the playground side, we are looking at obviously the grand opening on the 26th of June, and I shouldn't say playground side, rec campaign side, but there are discussions on what the next priorities will be for the master plan. First, which is landscaping. We're currently waiting for grant money back from the county to the tune of $50,000, and then the state grant, of which we got awarded $274,000, we still don't have that paperwork from the state. So that grant has not been administered yet. So that will be much longer term in terms of us getting our money back from the state. So in the interim, we are looking at how we can flush out our master plan a little bit better, and that includes doing some surveys on parcels of land that are adjacent to the 40 Creamery Road property. So one of those is 25 Creamery Road, which is across the street. There was previously a skateboard park there. There'll be discussion on using that survey, what we end up doing. There could be some reclamation involved in terms of bringing it back to what it was, because it's predictably wetlands, and there was lots of concrete and stuff on there. So we'll get some insight on that, and then some discussion on the salt shed highway department property on Creamery Road, just to what is that, to the east? West? North. I knew I'd get one out of 4. For the potential of putting a Frisbee, a disc golf course there. And all of this is volunteer labor and requests and fundraising. I did some math and we raised over $525,000, and people keep donating because they keep wanting to see things happen, which is great.
Also, I want to have a discussion about
Dot Burdick.
Bequeathing the Dot and Irv Burdick Park over to the fundraising committee, because we've really been kind of at a standstill. And I know early on there was interest expressed in that property. It's very tightly regulated what we're allowed to do there, but I think you guys can actually get it done.
Yeah.
So I would like to do that. I have to talk to Charlie Shaw just to tell him.
Yeah, the first thing would be getting a survey from him, whatever work he's done.
We have, I think we do have survey for that property.
I believe we do.
Yeah, we do. We had, I think we had to.
Yeah, so if you get me the survey.
I can check for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I went to the Fire Commissioners meeting on May 21st. There's still a lot of concern about potential regulations coming out of OSHA, which could cause us to lose our volunteer fire company. But the good news is that the comment period from OSHA has been extended through July 21st, which means they're getting a lot of feedback. And the organization that represents all of the fire districts, I can't remember the letters, but they've been doing a lot of pushing, and there's also a national organization. So I think OSHA my hope is that OSHA backs down and doesn't force all of this additional regulations on the fire districts, because if they do, we'll lose our fire company. But we're not there, and I don't think we're going to get there. The Zoning Commission met, and we're currently addressing home businesses. We should be coming up with a zoning ordinance to present to the town board shortly. You took care of the planning board. Personally, I'm really encouraged by all the activities that are happening in the community. We have the town-wide market day coming up. The farmers market is again this Saturday. There's an upcoming Scrabble tournament. They just did the cleanup at Gary Lovett. There's a grand opening of Spark Park. We're opening the rec on June 21st. The Bonnecue Preserve is finally going to become public. So, and the Strawberry Festival, which for the second time in a row I put last year's date into the newsletter, which is an all-time record for me, but it is going to be on Saturday, June 17th. So I'm just...
That's not a Saturday.
Tuesday?
15th.
I was going to say.
What?
June 15th.
That's what I had.
Spreading.
I just want to know that all I want to do is spread misinformation.
Oh my gosh, about the guns. Just stop taking it on the strawberries.
Leave the strawberries alone.
Leave the strawberries alone, Wendy.
Okay. Anyway, it's just, all that's going on here just says vibrant community, and I'm just thrilled. But I do want to report on something that's quite unpleasant, and some of you may have already heard that last Friday night, someone, after dark, came to Town Hall, parked his car at Skidmore's, surreptitiously climbed the hill, and turned the American flag upside down. What he didn't know was, or didn't care to know, is that we had video cameras on him. And that Skidmore he parked directly in front. I mean, he couldn't have done a better job of backing his car into the video camera. So anyway, it was discovered. I got a call on Saturday morning, and with the help of several members of the fire company, we turned the flag right side up. I also called the troopers, and we've taken the act. It's a very disrespectful thing to do. We've taken it very seriously, and we're working with Troop K to resolve the violation. All of us have a tremendous amount invested in uniting this community, not dividing it. So I think this was just an aberrant act, and we will deal with it. So I think that's all I have. And oh, and I did all my reports. I'm not making any, I didn't have to do any line adjustments. We have one budget line adjustment. We got a mortgage tax payment, thank God, and I had cut the budgeted amount basically in half, because last year we were so trashed by the mortgage tax, and we're not doing any better this year, neither is the rest of the county. Though I did hear that the mortgage rate came down by like 1/8 of a 1/10 of
Nothing.
a 15th of
Nothing.
a percent, you know.
They're not going to do another rate change.
No. So anyway, but our incomes are coming in as expected, our revenues, which is great. Okay, so.
Homes for sale.
Well, there are actually, what's weird is there are a lot of homes for sale all of a sudden. There are 3 on Anthony's Road.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going on in Bangle?
I don't know. Nobody wants to live next door to me.
Well. Okay.
One of them is moving because of their job.
Oh, is that more?
But the other 2 are because of Anthony.
Sorry.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. So getting back to our agenda, which is still very long, I would like to make a motion to appoint Deborah Bennett as bookkeeper to start at the beginning. Oh, I forgot privilege of the floor. Oh, funny. Okay, so I still am going to make a motion to appoint Deborah Bennett as bookkeeper to start. She started in the beginning of June. She's fabulous.
Good.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm really sorry. I'd like to now open up the meeting. It's a little bit,
This is like all over the place tonight.
I know. For privilege of the
bizarro
floor, if you would like to speak, please just come up to the podium, speak in the microphone, your name and address. Oh, such a sigh.
Waiting. Neil Dennehy, 453 Jameson Hill Road, Clinton Corners, New York. I'd like to acknowledge my neighbors and community members who are currently using Jameson Hill Road as a shortcut to bypass the county-designated Clinton Corners Road. I had an 18-wheel truck from Stewart's Shops driving down that road at more than 40 miles an hour in the middle of the road and had to drive off the shoulder twice. It's the Tuesday 10 a.m. guy. I also, this morning, having my coffee, typically would see about 2 school buses. Today there were 10. So the school buses are using Jameson Hill as the shortcut, and I don't think that's right.
Maybe your way's faster than Hate Hill Road. They used to fly down my road.
Oh, you're in Hate Hill?
Mm-hmm. I am.
We'll have coffee.
We'll have coffee. You can come sit on my porch at 8 a.m. and just...
Yeah.
Okay.
I would just like to point out that this morning the town came through and mowed the right-of-way in front of my house, and it's still about 6 or 8 inches high because the machinery doesn't really get down low. So I go out there with the weed whacker and cut it down because my neighbors, I'm on a blind curve coming around, and my neighbors will get clipped. And people are out walking their dogs, and it's become an unsafe environment for us.
Jim, is there any way to get the school buses?
If there are hours, I can say something. I'll say something to the superintendent. But there's a lot of schooling agencies that go through that area.
Would you?
Where we touch Salt Point Turnpike, that's Hyde Park, that's, Millbrook. It's a number of organizations, but I'll say something.
Is there a way to get to the right person at all the school districts to say this is a really bad road for you to be putting children on?
There's a safety conversation. Everyone's got a transportation department. Some of it's going to be BOCES too.
But could we work it through
I'll
Pine
see what
Plains?
I can do.
Great, that would be great.
Okay.
Where would they go?
They should.
They take Clinton Corners Road to 82.
It's about 5 minutes more.
Yeah.
Because that's really the south end. That would be the very south end of our district would be Jameson Hill Road by the time we get there. The earliest probably Lime Road.
My favorite is all the beer cans on my road.
We got those on the trail. too.
From the school buses?
Okay, all right, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. And we will talk to Jim about the.
Just certain spots. I mean, if they could just monitor it so
Lower
there's a
the
safe place for people with dogs to just stand as these cars are going by, we'd appreciate it.
Okay.
You got about 10 days of school left anyway or less.
Well, there's still summer school.
That's true.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Neil. Does anyone else want to speak at privilege of the floor? Claudia?
Claudia DeBellis, 265 Charwell. I'm going to give Rita Mary this letter to put into the the minutes.
Claudia, you have to talk louder.
What? That's better? Okay. This is following up from the last meeting where I said that Charwell Drive needed to be resurfaced. So this letter is to Jim Myers. Dear Jim, at the town board meeting yesterday, I made a request to have Charwell Drive and Fancourt Road in Clinton Corners both repaved. Town Supervisor Burton asked me to send you a letter and CC her. Due to serious crumbling along the edges of both roads, they have both become narrowed, and at some spots not quite adequate for two vehicles to pass at speed. Also, there are potholes, many potholes. Potholes have been patched in a timely manner, but recent heavy traffic has accelerated the rear, and the roads are getting worse. Neither road has been completely repaved, end to end, since we moved here 9 years back, so it's time. Also, we noticed that a double yellow line has been painted in part of Hicks Road, and we wondered if it can be continued further in both directions, maybe as far as Charwell and Fancourt. These lines serve to remind people to not drive down the middle of the road, and I think it increases the safety there. I had a close call with a dump truck on Hicks, and I think the double yellow line might have been a help. I hope you can drive up the length of Charwell and Fancourt and give them both a look and see what you think of surfaces. Please call me if you have any questions. I did speak to Jim, and he said that...
Sorry. Went down a little bit.
He said that he thought that the roads might be repaved in 2025. I will say I'm glad he can do that, but there are some edges that already in the summer are deeply gouged at, and I don't know what they're going to look like going through the winter. And we have some remarkably heavy traffic now on this road, and it's getting worse on both of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then. All right, then, I make a motion. I don't have to close, I don't have to make a motion. We're just moving on. Oh, boy. Sorry.
You okay?
I don't know.
Want water? You have water.
I have one of them. That's what caused the problem. I make a motion to appoint, what's that? Yes, please.
You sounded like Kermit there for a second.
Appoint Greg Starzak as Commissioner for the Ambulance District. This is because Dennis Buchall, thank you, had to step down. And Greg is the new Commissioner for the fire company, and they are all rotating as commissioners for our ambulance district, hence the motion to appoint him.
So does that mean that we'll have to do this every time they rotate?
Yeah, but that was the plan.
But what's the rotation cycle? Do you know what term is?
No.
Fire commissioners are 5 years.
Oh, okay.
But
So it's not
every
like we're doing
year.
this every couple months.
But I
No,
think
no,
every year
Dennis had to
somebody's
step
up for
down
election.
because of his judgeship.
Got it, okay.
And the ambulance is 3 years, I think.
Oh, for heaven's
If I'm
sake.
not mistaken.
I think you were right.
So they're obviously out of sync.
So what else is?
What else is new?
Okay, he's second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now I can be quiet. And Counselor, will you present the zoning amendment for duplexes and ADUs, local law number 7?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to ask the board if you have the 2 items that we'd sent out. There's a full environmental assessment form, and there's the proposed local law resolution for introduction of the local law. And I have extra copies if you need any. And if anyone in the audience needs a copy, we have them here. So the global overview of this proposed law is to enable residential properties, existing single-family residential properties, and new single-family residential properties
to have an accessory dwelling unit as of right. The term accessory dwelling unit encompasses some of the prior classifications that include accessory apartments, duplexes, and guest cottages. These accessory uses would be as of right, as long as they have proper well and septic acceptable to the county health department. And the other aspect of this is that it would be, it would not involve a doubling of acreage. Our current zoning law says that if you have an accessory apartment or a guest cottage or a duplex on your property, you have to have twice the minimum acreage that's the minimum acreage for the zone, and that provision is being deleted. And then there are a bunch of other minor changes to correct the wording in other sections of the zoning law to conform to this new change. Now, the process that we follow is that first the local law must be introduced, and then so it can't be adopted tonight. There has to be a public hearing scheduled, and also the board, before it takes an action to adopt the ordinance or local law, has to go through the seeker process. That's the environmental review process, which we will start tonight, and also the process involves referral to several other boards. There's a mandatory referral to the planning board, and there's for their recommendation, and there's a mandatory referral to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development for their review under Section 239M of the General Municipal Law. So the proposed resolution provides first that the text of the local law gets introduced. That means that it's just presented for review and consideration by the board. The resolution then goes on to accept the draft that's been prepared of the Part 1 of the environmental assessment form, and that form basically identifies what the action consists of. Its adoption, it would eventually be adoption of this local law, this amendment of our zoning law, and but most of the provisions of the EAF, it's called, are blank because they mostly relate to individual development projects, and we don't have any specific development projects before us. We're just amending the local law. So part of this resolution is to accept the Part 1 of the EAF, and then we'll forward the draft local law and the EAF to town planning and county planning for their review and recommendations, and you can have a hearing in whenever you want to schedule it, probably 2 meetings from now,
August.
I suppose.
Yeah, this is going to be the seeker is going to be resolution 6D. Okay.
Well, it's all actually, Wendy, in the revised version of it, I got it all in one resolution. Do you want to, shall I, perhaps, did everyone get that? Did everyone get did I send that out to everybody?
I have resolution number blank, seeker finding for local law. Oh, no, that's the tax levy.
That's the tax
I
levy.
have
And that's been revised too, but we'll get to that.
I have proposed local law for ADU that you sent today.
Yeah.
Excuse me,
Yes.
yesterday. You sent that yesterday.
Yeah, but this isn't a this is just the law.
Let
At
me pass,
1:42 p.m.
let me pass these out.
Okay. Anyway, it still would be 6D.
Yeah, I'll need a copy of that.
Thank you.
Pass those down and,
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you want
that's
that?
the tax
I have
cap.
I have the digital.
Did you?
I have a soft copy, but
That's it, okay?
I guess it did have.
Now, this is from our revisions the other night.
yeah.
I print
that's correct.
everything.
But make sure you have the
This doesn't have the,
same version.
it doesn't have the secret in it.
Is that it? Yeah, that's it. You're good.
This is just the 11.
You're good, yeah.
So where, this doesn't have the seeker either.
No.
Okay, this is just the local law without the seeker.
They've got the secret form.
Oh, there's the seeker. No,
And do you have the,
So-
do you have,
So there's this form, and then there's the EAF.
so where's the,
The EAF is a different document.
but do you have that?
Yes, I have
you
that as
sent
well.
that.
Do I
Yeah.
have that?
Wendy?
Yes.
Thank you.
There you go.
So we only had to complete C, F, and G of that form, and F and G is basically an attachment, and G is the signatures.
Okay.
And C is light, it's a page and a half. So there's a bunch of stuff that's gonna be blank on that.
Okay.
So we're treating this as a resolution?
Remember,
This is the
I'm the Wendy
resolution for
translator.
introduction.
Screw it, Thank God there's a register.
Yeah, you put the secret stuff at the beginning, it's fine.
You should, I didn't
Yeah,
put
so
a
this is-
resolution
this is just
number.
all of
There should be.
It's already
So
filled out.
what-
Yeah, so
what
you
would
already
that
filled it out.
be?
You only have to fill it, it's already filled out. So they only have to do sections C, which is actually the definition of what we're doing, and then everything else blank, and then F
No, it's
and
gonna
G
be
are
tax
the very end.
levy limit is 60.
Okay.
So we only have to do this.
What's 6C
and then we have
tonight?
to sign it.
Oh, my
And that's it.
Okay.
So that's the only thing that needs to happen.
Okay, so do you want, there's, Nathan just explained there's very little on the seeker that we have to actually do.
Yeah, there's very, yes, it's really all it does is describe what we're doing and that we have a zoning ordinance and
So do you want to
so on and so
what we have
forth.
to do?
Well, so what we need to do is we need to make a motion that will accept this and.
It's,
Introduce that.
it's all in this, it's all in this resolution.
Yeah, it's all in the, it's, this is the resolution, it just doesn't say resolution. Well, it's an introduction of the law, and it has that in it.
It has it in it, yeah. You're not going to read the whole thing.
I am not reading
It's
any
not-
of it because this will be available in Rita Mary's office.
Yeah, it's also very late.
And we would be here through tomorrow at the rate I'm going,
I
so.
can also do it if you want.
But do you read it?
No, I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but
Yes, I would like you to.
I'm making a motion
Nathan's making a motion.
that we introduce local law number 7, which is a revised definition of ADUs, which also includes the EAF that we need to complete in order to get
You know,
county.
I could suggest, on the second page of that,
What?
of that resolution that you
Yep.
have, there's a paragraph that starts now, therefore, be it resolved.
Yep,
That's the first part of the motion,
okay.
okay?
Yep, so the following local law is hereby introduced to be known as proposed local law number 7 of 2024, entitled the local law amending chapter 164 of the town code to allow accessory dwelling units, ADUs, in all zoning districts. And then it has the definition of
And it
that.
refers to all the text of the law that goes for 8 pages or so.
Yep.
And then go down to the end of the part that's single space, Nathan.
Yep,
And you have these paragraphs that say, be it further resolved.
yep.
And those are the further, those
Yeah, so,
we should do.
And then there's the effective date, so, and be it further resolved pursuant to the applicable standards of the seeker regulations contained in 6 NYCRR Part 617, the town board hereby declares itself lead agency for purposes of the seeker of this type 1 action, which is what's completed in the EAF, or, sorry, the next part of that. Be it further resolved that the town board hereby adopts and authorizes circulation of a copy of Part 1 of the full EAF, a copy of which is annexed here 2 pursuant to the requirements set forth in 6 NYCRR Part 617. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor to refer the proposed local law to the Stanford Planning Board for its report and recommendations pursuant to Section 16456 of the Town Code. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor to refer the proposed local law to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development pursuant to New York General Municipal Law 23M. And be it further resolved that a public hearing shall be held in relation to the proposed local law as set forth in the form of notice hereinafter provided, at which hearing parties in interest and citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard, to be held at the town hall on August 8th at 7 o'clock. And the notice of said meeting shall be published in the official newspaper of general circulation in the town of Stanford by the town clerk at least 5 days before such hearing, and that such notice shall be in the following form. And then there's the public hearing form. So that's the motion.
Oh, I'll second it. And this is.
We were so close. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, no, I'm going to do a roll call because this is
I was going to say, yeah.
Wendy Burton?
Yes.
Julie Dakota?
Yes.
Eric Ames absent. Dave McRitchie?
Yes.
Dave Secor?
Yes.
But this is Resolution
6D.
6D. That's all I was trying to say.
And what's the identification of the local law?
7.
Number 7, okay, thank you. Okay.
Okay. And Rita will have copies available in her office. There is a copy right here if you like. I think that as Chris was saying, Chris Drago was saying, and this was a primary goal of the in the comprehensive plan that we just passed, that this is the first step in making it easier to increase dwelling units in our town. So it may not be a giant step, but it's the first step. And I'm really glad that it was the first thing that the zoning commission took on. So.
Wendy, before you pass on,
Yes.
would you, this is the EAF form, which needs a signature.
Can I get that copy?
Mm-hmm.
Date it. June 13th. She's just going to send it back to you, so.
This would go with it to the county and
All right, all right.
yeah.
Got it?
No, I literally lost my. Oh, here it is. Okay. Now, the second local law that we are going to deal with, which will be local law number 8, authorizing the town board to override the real property tax levy limit for the 2025 fiscal year town budget.
Wendy, there was a recent version of this today also, and I have copies of it if anyone would like.
Yes, please.
If anyone needs a copy. You have this.
I have the most recent.
Yeah. And it's resolution 6C.
We're going backwards.
Oh, yeah. That's what I have.
6C.
No,
Mhm.
No, that's the,
that's the payment for
local
the
law.
signs. Yeah.
We're local law number 8.
no, it's 6E. We have A, B, and C already.
Oh, resolution number 6E.
Make it E.
You sure?
Yeah, Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so this is, we're passing this law because last year, on the advice of the fire department's council, when we created the ambulance district, we were told that the ambulance district would carry its own tax cap, basically. That's the way we submitted it to the state. And it appeared on a separate line on your tax bills. And we received those monies, and we're paying the ambulance company $62,500 a month. When I was at finance school, someone was speaking from the OSC, and they said in their lesson that ambulance districts were not separate taxing entities. And my teeth kind of fell out, and I said that's not what we were told, and they said, well, they're not separate taxing entities. The Association of Towns has a different interpretation of the law than the OSC does. And the Association of Towns asked me if we wanted to be a sample case, basically suing the Office of the State Controller to say that we believe that we were correct in our interpretation of the law and that the ambulance district was a separate taxing unit. I said no, I just assume not sue the Office of the State Controller. So the way to get everything equal again is to pass a law so when we do the 2025 budget, which will include basically the same amount unless the charge goes up from the ambulance district, and we're kind of stuck with whatever they negotiate with us because they're the only game in town right now. So it won't affect our taxes. It will just, we just need to override the cap because we didn't raise the cap last year. Does that make sense?
So this was originally done because it would have overridden the cap on the fire departments?
Well, the fire department.
Because they were a separate taxing agency that
They
did
are a separate taxing agency, but they were under the impression, they have the same attorney, that the tax cap for the ambulance district did affect their tax cap, their budget. So they were like, their budget was in the toilet because they were paying at that point $750,000 of their budget for the ambulance. So when they told us that we needed to take it over, we were told it had its own tax.
Right.
So, I mean, the good news is it's basically no harm, no foul, and the OSC said to me, just file this and it's all going to equal out, like your tax cap will get raised.
Does that threaten anyone's star rebate?
I'm sorry?
Does that threaten the star rebates? Because when your state did the star rebate, it's based on your local municipality and your school district. If they stay within the tax cap law, you get your rebate. If they don't, you might not.
I don't know, the only other time we ever had to do this was when we inherited the 60% tax haircut. And I don't know if that affected star rebate or not. So we could try to find that out.
Thank you.
Hey, may I
Yes.
take you through this amendment? Once again, before we take action on this amendment, we have to comply with the seeker process of the environmental review. And in this case, we can use a briefer process, a simpler process, because of the nature of the action that we're doing. So before adopting the resolution, when you adopt it, will introduce the local law, and it will also make the seeker findings, all in one resolution. So before adopting that, you should just take a look. We have part 1 and part 2 of the short form environmental assessment form, and in the part 1, it merely identifies what the action is. That's the adoption of this local law, which solely relates to budgeting. There are no projects involved, so there are no project impacts. Part 2 has all these categories in it. Does this action have an impact on water, and does it have an impact on air resources, and so on and so forth? And everything is answered no, again, because there are no environmental impacts. It's merely budgetary. So if everyone's comfortable with that, then you can just go to the resolution, and the whereas clauses kind of describe the nature of the action, and then the first paragraph where it says, now therefore be it resolved, that's where the local law is introduced, and you can read it if you want, or just refer to it. And then the resolution continues to make the seeker findings and schedule a public hearing for this law, too.
Please.
All right, so make a motion to accept local law 8 of 2024, introducing, now therefore be it resolved that the following proposed local law is hereby introduced to be known as Local Law 8 of 2024, entitled Local Law Authorizing the Town Board to Override the Real Property Tax Levy Limit for the fiscal year 2025 budget, to read as follows. So it goes through declaration of intent, authority, that we are, what we're actually doing. The town board hereby declares itself lead agency for this action under seeker, and be it further resolved that following its review and analysis, the town board determines that the proposed action will have no adverse environmental impacts, and hereby adopts a negative declaration for the reason articulated in the EAF. And be it further resolved that a public hearing be held in relation to the proposed local law as set forth in the form of notice hereinafter provided, at which parties in interest and citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard, to be held at the town hall on...
Do we have to wait? Can we do this next month?
Yep.
Okay, so that's...
July...
July...
11.
2024 at 7 o'clock p.m. And that the notice of said meeting shall be published in the official newspaper of general circulation in the town of Stanford by the town clerk at least 5 days before such hearing, and that such notice shall be in the following form. And then it has the public notice.
So that's your motion?
Well,
So
Yes.
When we adopted,
I'll second it.
So this could end in December, and the other one
Oh, you mean if we adopt it sooner?
be local law to be determined, number to be
Well,
determined.
Because it depends which we get to adopt sooner.
Yeah, in July.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Teddy seconded it.
August.
Okey dokey. Wendy Burton?
Yes.
Julie Dakota?
Yes.
Eric Hammond, absent. Nathan Burton?
Yes.
Tracy Gordon?
Yes.
And Wendy, please sign the part 2 EAF.
I think I just
did.
did.
She just
You got it? Good.
Yep.
Great.
Dated too.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was already dated.
Oh.
It's pretty good.
It's the royal purple.
Should have thought that.
It's Pride Month. Why is the town, we need a town hall cleaning person still. Okay.
I've heard nothing yet.
Rita, do you have a letter for us, or do you, this is your baby, Brothers,
Yes.
Three Brothers Pizza.
Yes, by law, when somebody in town has to, a request from the New York State Alcoholic Beverage Committee, they have to do an application, has to come to the town board, and the town board usually just says that they have no objection to the application of an on-premise alcoholic beverage license for Three Brothers Pizza and Deli at 6270 Route 82 in Stanford. that all right with all of you, that this letter is sent?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It was already there.
Democracy is a beautiful thing sometimes.
Is this yours? Did I grab yours?
You'll vote with your, you'll vote with your wallet.
Consensus.
Okay, so that's fine, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Can I have a real motion?
Oh, I make a motion to approve the letter, the request by Three Brothers Pizza for their alcoholic beverage application.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor, thank you.
Aye.
So we voted before we were, okay.
Vote next on the beer that we want to start with.
Wackadoodle meeting.
I know, it's still long.
Okay, we're doing the best we can here. Resolution 6A, budget modification. Whereas the town of Stanford has expenditures for the adopted 2024 highway fund budget lines will exceed the amount of fund available in these certain budget lines, and whereas the highway has funds available in other lines and needs to transfer such funds to provide for expenditures, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Stanford Board hereby amends and transfers from and to budget lines listed for fiscal year 2024. We need to increase the tool budget by $5,000, and we will take that money off of the salt budget. And we need to increase supplies by $10,000, and we will take that money from the salt budget for a net of $15,000.
Did Jim give you any context for what the tools and supplies were?
I read the invoices every month.
It's like stuff for like their truck repair and stuff, brakes.
Well, that's parts. You'd have to look at the invoices, but yeah.
Motion, please, Wendy?
One more question. So it's taken from the salt.
It's been a very light, it was very light winters.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of salt.
So their 2025 budget will allow them to buy more salt. But I'm just worried if they have a hard winter.
We have salt up the wazoo, and there's still money in the salt budget. We haven't depleted it entirely.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
Right,
but
thank
because it was such a easy winter. Yeah.
Can I have a second, please?
Second. Thank you.
Wendy Burton?
Yes.
Julia Dakota?
Yes.
Eric Haynes absent. Nathan LaVirtue?
Yes.
Teddy Secor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Rita, resolution 6B is, I can't even say this word.
Tax certiorari.
Thank you. So we just have to approve the agreement that was made between the Supreme Court of the State of New York. It's a consent judgment, and we're between Joseph Coles and Christine Chapman Coles and the town of Stanford assessor, basically. So I guess I make a motion to accept the consent judgment between the Coles and the town of Stanford.
Yes, Wendy, the resolution should also authorize Shane Egan to sign the
Oh, right, as the attorney.
consent as the town's attorney.
And recognize Shane Egan as the signator representing the town.
Second.
I'll second it.
Wendy Burton?
Yes.
Julia Dakota?
Yes.
Eric Haynes absent. Nathan LaVirtue?
Yes.
Teddy Secor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, resolution 6C, to transfer funds from the American Rescue Fund account, New York class, ending in 009, and move the funds to the general fund ending in 018, whereas the town of Stanford has invested American Rescue Plan funds to pay for the purchase of 4 signs for the transfer station swap shed, and whereas the New York class account ending in 09, American Rescue Fund account, contains funds for this purpose. Now therefore be it resolved, the supervisor is authorized to complete the following budget modification and transfer the funds from the American Rescue Plan funds account to the general fund in the amount of $736.84.
Second.
Could you make sure you get a copy of that? Because I didn't have that one. Wendy Burton?
Yes.
Truya Dakota?
Yes.
Eric Haynes absent. Nathan Virtue?
Yes, and I just sent you the resolution.
Oh,
Yoink.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It'll be the third one you've
Teddy
gotten.
Secor?
Yes.
Where is the American Rescue Plan? Where's that budget? Where's that? Oh, I see it. Nope, I see. Wait, no, that's just.
It's not on that, it's on the supervisor's report, recap is where you see that
Okay.
amount. I think we still have $50-something thousand in it.
Okay. Thank you.
Item 11, approval of the minutes from May 9th. I make a motion to approve Rita's minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we come to number 12.
Yes.
I make a motion to amend the abstract in the general fund by $500 to provide petty cash for the opening of the rec.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Lauren thanks you. So this means to approve the June abstract, we have to add $500 to the number that's here, because we just amended it.
That would just be in general fund, right?
Yep.
Yeah, just the general fund.
So just say with addition.
Okay. So I make a motion to approve the June abstract number 6 for 2024 with the addition of $500 to the general fund abstract of $55,881.65.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, then. I will now open the meeting for the second privilege of the floor.
All right. I had written an email, but I'm not going to read it. I'm going to just go into some of it. I don't like being up here for this.
Could I have your name and address?
No. I'm Jim Griffin, Charwell Drive.
Thank you.
I don't like coming up here to talk about public servants. I've been in public service for a decade. I love the work that I do. And I hate getting called out on crap, but I'm going to do it. At the last ZBA meeting, it ended in May's ZBA meeting, it ended in executive session. And being very familiar with executive session, I have a hard time understanding what the ZBA could be doing in executive session. They don't hire anybody, they don't employ anybody, they don't sign contracts with anybody. The only thing could be consultation with a lawyer for legal. The Article 78 item ended in April, actually March. I don't know what could have been discussed in an executive session. I have concerns with many of my neighbors that the ZBA is not acting in the best interest of the community under current leadership. I know I attended a number of meetings last year. One of them, when the Rathjen matter was introduced to the ZBA officially, had previously heard a request for a variance on an accessory dwelling unit for grandma to live at a house where Ms. Zier is the neighbor. She recused herself from the discussion but did not leave the table. There was a discussion, a number of neighbors came in favor, against, etc. At that point, the meeting was closed. The petitioner asked, hey, I would like the ability to speak one last time. At which point she said, no, the meeting's been closed, the hearing's over, and you're done. This was done without asking for the petitioner's comments. The last comments were from the public, and then it was closed at that. However, when it came to the Rathjen situation, I don't feel like the conversations were had in public. We attended the meetings. These meetings are not recorded. And it cost the town $30,000 and change. I don't like being involved in that. However, I think, along with my other neighbors, I think we don't have confidence in the ZBA or its leadership, and we'd ask the town to make a change. Thank you.
Does anyone else have a comment to make? Then I will close privilege of the floor. We are going to go into executive session. I thank you for coming out. I wish more people actually had been here for the presentations by Jody and Adam. I'm actually really disappointed because we advertised them, and I thought they were terrific, informational. People can still watch them on the videos, and I hope that they do. Not to put one above the other, but I don't know. It's just our responsibility to do everything possible to help our vets, and everyone needs to be on the same program. So, with that said, thank you for coming. I know it was a long meeting. Thank you for sitting through it, and we'll hopefully see you next month. Oh, and as you know, we are going into executive session. We will have our executive session. We will come out, and if there's a determination, we will make it in a public meeting. So thank you.
I just have...
What item are you reviewing, employment personnel?
I was just going to ask that.
Thank you.
What is the reason for your executive session?
There actually are several, but personnel.
Nothing else? Good
Well,
enough?
I think we'll be discussing litigation as well.
And litigation. Perfect, thank you. And a second for this, please.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
thanks.
Okay, thank you.
And I need to stay, right?
Yeah, you can stay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you mean as in go home? You need to stay. Okay, I make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I make a motion to go back into regular session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I already did that.
Okay. I make a motion to, what am I supposed to say? Unappoint Kathy Zier as chair of the ZBA and to appoint Neil Dennehy as the new chair contingent on... Conditional on his acceptance.
I will second. Actually, should I recuse myself because I'm the liaison to the ZBA? Or?
No.
Okay.
No, you don't have to.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
Oh, 30.
10:04. Is this a new company record?
All in favor?
And
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Thanks for staying so long.
Thank you.